You lose up to 80% of your chess games simply because of basic tactical mistakes, like missing an easy fork or blundering your queen. I have researched all the tactics that you must know. I will also teach you how to spot these tactics in your games. By the end, you won't just be winning, you will be pulling tactics so clean, even Magnus might raise an eyebrow. So let's get into it.
You might be down a knight, a rook, or even your girlfriend. But guess what? That's exactly when tactics hit. But first, what even are tactics? Well, they are short, savage sequences, usually 1 to 5 moves, where you go, oh my god. They win pieces, they deliver mate, or just make your opponent cry internally. In short, tactics are like the dirty little secrets that make you look like a genius. There are a total of like 15 tactics, which you must know before entering your next chess game. So let's start with the big 4 tactic. So the number 1 tactic that you must know is the fork. We have all heard about forks. A fork is when one piece attacks 2 pieces at the same time. Forks can happen in a lot of different ways. It can happen with a knight, like this. Or it can also happen with a bishop. So like, look at this bishop. We can take this pawn for free and we are forking these 2 rooks. And when one of these rooks move, we can take this rook for free and we are just up a rook now. Forks can also happen with a queen, something like this. We give this check, we also check the king and we are also attacking this rook. And when the king moves, we can take this rook for free. Forks are literally everyone's favorite tactic. The feeling you get after spotting a fork, it's like you hit a jackpot without even buying a lottery ticket. Your knight jumps in, says surprise, and suddenly your opponent's queen and rook are both sweating. Next up is the pin. A pin is when your opponent's piece can't move without exposing a more valuable piece like the king or the queen. There are 2 types of pins. A relative pin is where your opponent can move the piece but shouldn't because you win material. And an absolute pin happens when a piece is pinned to the king and it legally cannot move. Pins help you prevent activity of pieces and sometimes they even help you in winning material. Pins can happen in a lot of different ways too. Like over here, the black bishop took our pawn thinking it was free, but we bring a rook over and this is an absolute pin to the king. And now the bishop can't move and we win this bishop for free. Or over here, we can win this knight by pinning it to the rook, and if this knight moves, we get a free rook and there is no way to defend this knight. The rook moves somewhere and we win this knight for free. Or over here, this is a very common tactic. Black wins this free pawn here and we are also getting mated. We can't take this queen because our pawn is pinned to the king, and if this pawn moves, it would be an illegal move. This happens a lot in games, so be on a lookout for this. Now let's move on to the 3rd tactic, which is the skewer. Skewer is like a reverse pin. A valuable piece is in front and when it moves, a less valuable piece is captured. Like over here. We can check this black king and when the king moves, we get the free queen and we had just skewered the black king to win the queen. Or over here, the queen moves here, threatening this extremely dangerous check here. But what we can do here is move our bishop here back to g2. This attacks the queen and the queen can't go here because we would just take the queen. So when the queen moves away, we can simply win this bishop for free and we are up a bishop. This is how you can skewer a more valuable piece in the front, and when the more valuable piece moves, we win a less valuable piece, which in this case is the bishop. Now let's move on to the 4th tactic, which is discovered attack. A discovered attack is when we move a piece to uncover an attack from a second piece. For example, over here, if we move this bishop, it would be a check on the black king. And there is a mate in 1 here. Can you find it? If we go here, the rook can block and it will be a mate in 2. So the move here is to play bishop here, blocking this rook, and we have just checkmated the king using a discovered check. Now I have taught you the big 4 tactics that you needed to know to win more games. But it's still not over yet. We still have 10 more tactics to learn. So lock in. Now the fifth tactic is a double check. A double check is pretty self-explanatory. A double check is when two pieces check the king at the same time and the only defense is moving the king. So for example, in this position we have a little discovered check, because when we move this knight here, it would be a check on the king with the knight. We will also give a check with the rook to the king. So the only move that black can do is move the king, and the king will be forced to move. And once they go here, we can deliver checkmate. But if, let's just say, this rook was not here and this knight was here, if we were to give this check, it wouldn't work, because we just lose our knight. Now the sixth tactic is deflection. Deflection is when we lure a defending piece away from a key square. So this is the most common example of deflection there is. This is a very famous and a very common position in games, and we can simply take this pawn because the king can't go here and the king is forced to take the bishop. And when they do take our bishop, look at this queen. It's completely free to take and we can take this queen. This is known as deflection. We deflected the black king from the defense of the queen, and when they take our bishop, we win the queen. Or over here, can you find the move here? The move is, first of all, notice that this queen is only defended by the rook. If we somehow deflect this rook from the defense of the queen, we can win this queen. So the move here is to play this sacrifice. We sacrifice a rook and the rook is forced to take because it would be checkmate. So when the rook takes, we can win the queen like this. We deflected the black rook from the defense of the queen, and after that we win the queen. Now I will teach you overloading. Overloading is when a single piece is defending too many things at once. We attack one of them and the whole position falls apart. So for example, in this position, look at this pawn. This pawn defends the bishop and it also defends the knight. And this pawn is kind of overloaded here. So if we take the knight here, the bishop would be free of cost and we could take the bishop. And if we take the knight if we take the bishop here, the knight would be free of cost. So this is what you can do in your games. You first take the bishop, they will probably take black, and once they do, you get a free knight here, and you're completely winning. Now the eighth tactic that you must know is interference. Interference is when we place a piece in between two pieces to cut off their coordination. So like for example, in this position, this king isn't feeling too safe here, because if this queen ever moves from the dark squares, from this diagonal, we can deliver a checkmate. So how do we use that to our advantage? Well, we interfere with our rook. We can play this move, and now we are threatening a checkmate here because the communication between the queen and the g7 square is cut off by the rook. So what black has to do now is to sacrifice the rook and we win the queen. Now I will teach you Swissenzuk. I can't pronounce this one. Well, people also call this an intermediate move. It is a mind-boggling move inserted in the middle of the sequence, often a check or a big threat which flips the script of the game. So in this example, this queen is hanging here. We can just take this queen for free. But do you know that this is not the best move? Taking the queen is not the best move. I know it's kind of shocking. This is not the best move because if we take the queen, they just take our bishop and we will have to play this endgame against 2 knights and we will lose this pawn probably. It's hard to defend that pawn. But what we are supposed to do here is first play bishop e1 check, sacrificing our bishop. Why? Because now when they do take our bishop, we can first of all take this queen and we are guaranteed to win one of these knights. And all of this happened because we played a little intermediate move before actually taking the queen. Removal of the defender. It happens when we force or capture a key defending piece. So in this position, this bishop is only defended by the rook and it's white to play. So if we somehow remove the defender of this bishop, we can win this bishop. So what we can do is first take this rook with check. The only move for the black king is to take our rook, and we are up a bishop and we are completely winning in this endgame. Now we have covered all the important tactics that you needed to know. But wait a minute, you are still not ready yet. You need to know about these next 3 checkmate patterns or check patterns before your next game, and I'm going to speedrun them really fast. So my time starts now. Okay, a perpetual check is when you give a check again and again and again and the opponent can't escape and you force a draw. In this position, it's white to play, like we are down a rook and a pawn, but this position is actually a draw because we can give the check, the king has no escape, and we can force a draw here. Now I will teach you what a smothered mate is. So it basically looks something like this. We first give a double check. I've taught you what a double check is, and since it's a double check, the king is forced to move, can't move any of the other pieces, and once they do move the king, we can sacrifice our queen like this. The king can't take because it would be an illegal move, so the rook is forced to take and we smother the white king and checkmate them like this. Okay, so now the final tactic that you must know is a back rank checkmate. You already probably know this, but a rook or queen delivers mate on the back rank and the king is trapped by its own pawns, and it's that simple, and that's all the tactics covered in one single video. If you are tired of losing 8 games just to win 1 and you're actually serious about leveling up, I got something for you, and it's completely free. I made a 30-day chess plan ebook designed to help you gain 200 elo without frying your brain on 47 opening lines you will forget tomorrow. It's free, so you have no excuses.